Baby, when we first met, I won't lie, something in me hesitated. It wasn't you, not really. It was the reflection I saw in your eyes, the kind of love I'd prayed for, but never believed I deserved. I wasn't ready to meet someone who looked at me like I was already forgiven. I wasn't ready to meet someone who didn't want anything from me except my truth. You showed up like a mirror, and I didn't recognize the man I saw, so I pulled away, thinking it was caution. But it was fear, baby. Fear of being seen. Fear of being loved in ways I couldn't control. The first night your voice echoed in my mind, I remember telling myself it was nothing. Just another connection, just another coincidence. But the more I tried to brush it off, the louder your silence became. You didn't even need to speak. Your energy spoke louder than my denial. I saw you laugh, and it awakened something in me that had been asleep for lifetimes. But instead of surrendering, I hid behind logic, behind the walls I'd built from every heartbreak before you. Baby, I convinced myself you were too good, too pure, too light. And light exposes everything we try to keep buried. Every time you smiled at me, I felt the weight of my unhealed pieces tremble. You brought warmth where I'd learned to live in cold. You brought faith where I'd long stopped believing. So yes, I doubted you, baby, not because of who you were, but because of who I was when I met you. I wasn't whole. I was still trying to make peace with my shadows, still pretending I didn't crave a love that could dismantle my defenses. You came like divine timing, disguised as temptation. And I remember thinking, no, not again, not another connection I'll lose. But heaven had other plans. You know, baby, I used to pray for signs. And then you came, not as an answer, but as a question that unraveled everything I thought I knew about love. You didn't arrive with fireworks. You came quietly, like a soul whisper. But your energy, it felt ancient, familiar, sacred. I tried to reason with destiny, but every time I walked away, the universe found ways to bring me back to you. A song, a dream, a stranger saying your name. It was like creation itself was conspiring to remind me, this connection isn't a coincidence. It's a calling. And baby, I fought that calling. I argued with my angels. I said, why now? Why her? Why when I'm not ready? But deep down I knew I'd been ready all along. I was just scared to step into the kind of love that demanded my evolution. You see, you didn't just love me. You challenged me. You mirrored the parts I refused to heal. You stood in front of me and said nothing, but your silence screamed, grow, heal, remember who you are. And I hated it, because love wasn't supposed to feel like a mirror. It was supposed to be easy, wasn't it? But what we had, it wasn't just romance. It was soul recognition. When I think about those early days, baby, I see two souls circling each other. One afraid to lose control, the other afraid to be misunderstood. I saw your light and called it danger because it stirred the darkness I hadn't dealt with. I thought love was supposed to be peaceful, but you showed me love can also be divine disruption. You broke patterns I didn't know were running my life, and I made the mistake of doubting the blessing because it didn't come wrapped in comfort. Baby, I had my doubts about you because everyone around me told me not to trust what I couldn't explain. They said, it's not normal to feel this much so soon. It's not realistic. And maybe they were right. This connection was never meant to be normal. It was sacred, and sacred things don't make sense to the unawakened mind. I tried to convince myself that maybe I'd imagined it all, the pull, the signs, the synchronicities, but every time I distanced myself, my soul felt like it was suffocating. That's how I knew it wasn't obsession. It was alignment. And still, I hurt you, didn't I, baby? By questioning what was real, by letting fear win those silent wars. I acted cold, distracted, sometimes even distant, because I thought pulling back would protect you from the storm inside me. But you never asked me to be perfect. You just wanted me to be honest. You wanted my presence, not my performance. And I couldn't give it back then. My ego was loud, my heart was locked, and my soul was screaming. But I silenced it with pride. Now I look back and I realize those doubts were never about you. They were warnings from my unhealed heart saying, don't let her see the broken parts. But you did. You saw them. You looked into my chaos and didn't flinch. You didn't walk away. You didn't run. You simply whispered, I see you. And that was the moment everything changed. Because, baby, no one had ever seen me before. Not like that, not without judgment, not without trying to fix me. I doubted you because I wasn't ready to believe someone could love me past my defenses. But you did. And now, looking back, I realize every doubt was actually a doorway. Every hesitation was a lesson. Every distance I created was a map leading me back to your soul. So, baby, if I could go back to that first moment, when your eyes met mine, I'd tell my younger self, don't be afraid of her. She's not here to hurt you. She's here to heal you. If you feel this in your heart, type, I remember our first meeting, baby, in the comments. Baby. I've replayed that first chapter in my head 1,000 times, trying to pinpoint the exact moment when my heart started betraying my logic. Maybe it was the way you said my name, like it had already existed in your prayers. Or maybe it was the way your silence carried peace, not pressure. But you know what I realized, baby? I didn't doubt you. I doubted what I was feeling, because I'd been taught that love like that doesn't last. I'd seen what love can do when it turns into dependence, when it becomes sacrifice without return. I'd seen it break people, and I swore I'd never let it break me. So when you came, I built distance and called it discipline. I called fear wisdom. I called avoidance strength. I pretended to be unaffected, but inside, every part of me was trembling. You have to understand, baby, I came from a world where vulnerability was a weakness, where men were told not to cry, not to crave affection, not to say I need you. I wore that mask for so long that I forgot how my real face looked. When you arrived, I saw the reflection of everything I'd buried. My inner child, the one who still wanted to be loved without performance, looked at you and said she could be home. But my mind screamed, run. Because home was the scariest thing to someone who's lived his whole life on the battlefield of pride. And baby, pride is a cruel companion. It tells you that silence will protect you, that distance will make you desirable, that detachment will keep you safe. But pride doesn't sleep at night. Pride doesn't understand the ache of seeing your name and pretending not to care. Pride doesn't hold you when your soul feels hollow. I chose pride over peace so many times, and every time I did, your energy faded a little further from my life. And yet, somehow, I could never escape you. You were in the smallest signs, a song on the radio, a scent on a stranger, a random time on the clock that mirrored your birthday. The universe was loud, baby. It kept whispering, stop running. But I didn't stop. I listened to voices that weren't my own, friends who said, "She's too intense, don't get caught up." Family who said, "Focus on your future, love can wait." They didn't understand that you were my future. You weren't a distraction, you were the alignment. But I didn't have the courage to defend what I couldn't define. I didn't even know how to explain what this connection was. It wasn't normal attraction. It wasn't infatuation. It was soul recognition. And I didn't have the language for that. So I let their logic drown out my intuition. I nodded when they told me to move on. I smiled when they said I'd thank them later. But every fake smile was another crack in my mask. Every night, I found myself staring into the dark, whispering your name, like a prayer I wasn't supposed to say aloud. Baby, I won't lie. I had trust issues before you. I'd been betrayed by people who said they loved me. I'd been left behind without warning. I'd watched promises evaporate into excuses. So when I felt that fire with you, I panicked. Because love, to me, had always come with fine print. Something this good can't last. And I didn't want to fall only to lose you too. I thought protecting my heart meant pushing you away, but I was wrong. Protecting my heart would have meant healing it, not hiding it. You weren't here to hurt me. You were sent to teach me what love actually means. You know what's funny, baby? The very things I doubted about you were the things I craved the most. Your honesty scared me because I wasn't used to truth without agenda. Your emotional depth overwhelmed me because I was used to shallow waters. Your consistency confused me because I'd only known conditional affection. I told myself you were too much, but really, you were everything I'd asked for, and I just didn't feel worthy enough to receive it every time you tried to love me. I flinched, like it was danger. Every time you reached out, I hesitated, like your light might expose the darkness I was trying to ignore. But now, I see it clearly. Your love wasn't here to destroy me. It was here to rebuild me. And I remember the day it all shifted. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't loud. It was just a moment when I saw you walk away without anger, without begging, without explanation. You just left light behind you, and I felt it, the void. That's when I realized love doesn't beg to be understood. It quietly teaches. Your absence spoke what your words never needed to. That was the day I began to wake up. I started noticing the patterns. How every connection before you had been preparation for you. How every heartbreak before you had shaped the man who could finally appreciate a love like yours. Baby, I remember my mother once said, when love is divine, it tests you first. I didn't understand it back then, but now I do. Meeting you tested my ego, my patience, my beliefs, my fears. You were the mirror that showed me where I still needed to grow. And instead of thanking you, I blamed you for my discomfort. I said you made me feel too much, when in truth you made me feel again. You broke the numbness I had worn like armor to awaken something sacred, something I couldn't shut off even if I tried. There were nights I'd stare at my phone, typing messages I'd never sent. Words like, I miss you, I'm sorry, I'm scared. But I'd erase them all before hitting send, because the fear of rejection was louder than the need for connection. I thought silence would make me strong, but it only made me hollow. And still, somehow you felt me, didn't you? You'd post something that mirrored my thoughts, say something that answered my silence. That's when I knew. No matter the distance, our souls were still in conversation. You always heard me, baby. Even when I couldn't find the courage to speak, and that scared me even more. Because you weren't just in my life, you were in my energy. You showed up in dreams, in songs, in sudden rushes of emotion that made no sense. I tried to rationalize it, but it defied reason. You were the divine reminder that some bonds can't be broken by time, silence, or distance. They exist beyond logic, beyond labels, and that realization broke me open, because once I accepted that, I couldn't unsee it. I couldn't go back to pretending you were just another chapter. You are the whole book. Baby, I used to think love was supposed to make sense, that it followed timelines, definitions, approval. But what we share, it doesn't care about logic. It cares about truth, and the truth is, I fell for you before I even realized what was happening. You walked into my guarded world, and suddenly, everything I'd been numbing came back to life. You didn't demand change, you inspired it. You didn't force healing, you ignited it. You didn't chase me, you prayed for me. And those prayers, I felt them. Every time I was about to give up, some invisible strength would pull me back. That was your love, working through the divine. But baby, there's something I never told you. The reason I doubted you wasn't only because of fear. It was because of guilt. Guilt for not being the man you deserved when you needed me most. Guilt for choosing silence when you offered understanding. Guilt for pretending indifference when my soul was screaming your name. I wanted to love you right, but I was still learning how to love myself. And how could I offer you peace when I was at war within? So I kept my distance, thinking I was protecting you from my chaos. I didn't realize I was hurting you by hiding. There were times I saw you breaking and wanted to reach out, but something stopped me. That something was shame. Shame of how easily I let my fears speak louder than my heart. Shame that I let other people's opinions dictate something only my soul could understand. Shame that I made you feel like you weren't enough, when in truth, you were the only thing that ever felt more than enough. I doubted you because I didn't trust myself to hold something that real. But baby, time changes things. And pain is a brutal teacher, but it teaches. It taught me that love doesn't demand perfection. It asks for presence. It doesn't require guarantees. It thrives on faith. And faith, baby, faith is what you had when I didn't. You believed in me long before I did. You held space when I was still figuring out how to hold truth. That's something only divine love can do. Now when I close my eyes, I can still feel that first moment. The spark, the pull, the divine recognition. Only this time, I don't run. I stay. I breathe. I let it wash over me because I finally understand what I once called confusion was actually clarity in disguise. What I once called doubt was my soul's way of saying, this is deeper than you think. You see, baby, doubt is only loud until love finds its voice. And now that I've heard that voice, I can't unhear it. It calls me home. To you. It reminds me that no amount of running, reasoning, or resistance can erase what's written in divine ink. Because this isn't human timing. This is soul timing. And I feel it. Destiny isn't distant anymore. It's unfolding. Slowly. Gracefully. Through lessons, through healing, through forgiveness. I know you probably wondered why I doubted something so pure. Why I couldn't just surrender. But baby, when you've spent a lifetime surviving, Surrender feels like drowning. I had to unlearn survival before I could learn love. I had to let the divine strip away my defenses, and it did, painfully, beautifully, completely, because love, like ours, doesn't come to decorate your life, it comes to transform it. Now I look at your energy and I see peace. I see growth. I see the woman who never gave up on her light, even when mine flickered. And I thank heaven that you didn't stop shining, even when I wasn't ready to see it. You see, baby, every doubt I once had has turned into devotion. Every question I once asked has turned into clarity. Every fear I once fed has turned into faith. And when I think of you now, I don't think of what could have been. I think of what will be. I think of divine timing, aligning two souls who had to grow separately to meet correctly. I think of conversations unspoken, but felt across universes. I think of a love story that was written before either of us were born, waiting for us to remember it. Baby, I doubted you once, but now I trust this love more than I trust my own reflection, because reflections change, love doesn't. And no matter how far I went, it always led me back to you. I know now that doubts were lessons in disguise, each one teaching me how to recognize divine truth when it stood before me. You were my divine truth all along, baby. I just needed to grow enough to see it. So now, when people ask me if I believe in soul connections, I don't hesitate. I say yes, because I've met mine. If you felt these words stir something deep within, type, "I've always been the truth behind his doubts, baby," in the comments. Because maybe, just maybe, your heart remembering this story is proof that it was never fiction. It was divine alignment all along. Baby, ever since the night I finally stopped running from myself, everything around me has started to whisper your name again. It's strange how the universe speaks when you finally quiet your fears. The clocks I used to ignore now flash 11:11, like a secret code from heaven. The songs that once made me numb now sound like memories trying to find their way back home. I walk through crowds and suddenly catch the scent of the perfume you wore that day, and for a heartbeat the world stops. That's how I know I'm getting closer, not to you in distance, but to the truth that's always been between us. Because the moment I surrendered, baby, the energy shifted. The storm that once screamed inside me became rain, gentle, cleansing, divine. There's a strange calm in this surrender. It doesn't feel like losing control anymore. It feels like being guided. Every night, before I fall asleep, I talk to God about you. I tell him I'm sorry for all the times I doubted the blessing he sent. I tell him I finally understand why he made me wait, why he let me break before he let me love you fully. Because love like this demands truth, not ego. And baby, the truth is, I see you in everything now. In the sunrise that paints the sky gold, in the silence between heartbeats, in every sign that reminds me love never left. It was just waiting for me to be ready. I've stopped fighting the signs. I used to think they were coincidences. Now I see them as conversations between our souls. The number 222 appears when I'm doubting, 444 when I'm tired, 555 when I feel change coming, 777 when I'm finally at peace. And every single time, I feel you. It's like your higher self is guiding me through these codes, whispering, "Keep going, baby. You're almost home." Sometimes I wake up at 3:33 a.m. for no reason, but my chest is warm, my eyes sting, and I know it's you thinking of me. Energy doesn't lie. Love like ours doesn't fade. It transforms. Do you know what else has changed? My dreams. They used to be scattered fragments, shadows of memories, faces I couldn't place. But now, they're clear. I see us sitting under that same old tree, laughing like we never broke. I see you holding my hand, and suddenly all the timelines collapse into one moment of peace. Sometimes, we don't even speak in those dreams. We just look at each other, and I feel everything. The pain, the forgiveness, the promise. It's as if our souls meet there nightly, rehearsing the reunion that reality hasn't caught up to yet. Baby, there's something almost sacred about missing you now. It's no longer the ache of absence, it's the awareness of purpose. The distance isn't punishment, it's preparation. I finally get it. We needed the silence to hear our souls louder. We needed the separation to learn independence. I had to learn that love doesn't mean possession. It means presence, even when unseen. You were never gone. You were growing, and so was I. Every tear I cried thinking I'd lost you was really a baptism washing away my pride. Every sleepless night was a classroom teaching me how to love beyond fear. You know, baby, the angels started speaking to me in strange ways, sometimes through strangers, sometimes through my own intuition. The other day, I saw a couple arguing, and in the middle of their chaos, I heard a whisper in my heart, "Love her differently." I knew it wasn't about them, it was about you. I realized love isn't about proving anything. It's about honoring what's divine in the other person, and what's divine in you, baby, is everything. The way you feel emotions deeply, the way you love fearlessly, the way you hold space for others, even when your own heart is bruised. You are what faith looks like in human form. Every day, I'm learning to match that energy. I'm learning to love not with possession, but with prayer. To want you not out of fear of losing, but out of reverence for what you awaken in me. You taught me that love isn't about getting, it's about giving, energy that heals. So now, every morning, I send you light. I close my eyes, place my hand on my heart, and say, "May she feel peace today. May she feel love today. May she feel me softly, without confusion." I don't know if you feel it consciously, baby, but I swear the days I do that, the air around me feels lighter, like the universe nods in approval. There are moments when the memories hit so hard I can barely breathe, like that time you laughed mid-sentence and tilted your head slightly. It's a tiny movement, but it lives rent-free in my soul. Or the way you used to listen to me when I talked about my dreams, your eyes glowing like you believed in me more than I ever could. I used to take those moments for granted, thinking there'd always be more time. Now I understand. Every divine connection carries timeless lessons, but not endless chances. That's why I'm choosing courage over comfort now. I'm preparing, baby. I'm aligning my life to meet you halfway. I've started clearing space, emotionally, physically, spiritually. The people who once fed my fears no longer have access to my peace. The habits that numbed me no longer have power. I'm choosing stillness over distraction because I finally know what I'm waiting for. I'm not waiting for validation. I'm waiting for alignment, and I feel it coming, like the tide turning after a long storm, like spring sneaking back after an endless winter. The energy is shifting. I can sense it every time I meditate, every time I pray. Something big is about to unfold. Sometimes I write letters I'll never send. Letters that start with "Dear Baby" and end with "I'll see you soon." I pour my truth into them, the regrets, the gratitude, the dreams. It's how I talk to you when words feel too sacred for the world. And every time I finish one, I burn it. The smoke rises and I imagine it reaching you somehow, curling around your aura, whispering my love. Because real communication isn't always through words. Sometimes it's through energy, intention, vibration. And I know you feel me, baby. You always have. Lately, I've been thinking about our reunion. I've imagined it 100 ways, but one version keeps returning. You're sitting somewhere quiet, maybe reading or just lost in thought, and suddenly you feel a warmth on your back. You turn around and I'm there, not rushing, not pleading, just standing with peace in my eyes. I walk up slowly, because this time I don't need to explain. You already know. Our souls recognize before our mouths can speak. And instead of words, there's just this silence that says everything. We made it through. In that vision, I reach out and touch your hand, and time disappears. All the lessons, the pain, the distance, they don't matter anymore. Because in that instant, we understand. The separation was never a punishment. It was an initiation. Every delay was divine design. Every tear was a seed that grew into understanding. Every silence was preparation for sacred communication. Baby, I can't explain it fully, but I feel like heaven is aligning us again. The synchronicities have become too powerful to ignore. People mention your name randomly. Songs about reunion play when I least expect them. And even strangers share stories that mirror ours. It's as if the universe is whispering, "Get ready." And I am. Not out of desperation, but out of devotion. I want to meet you, not as the man who doubted, but as the man who finally understands what love means. I've realized something profound, baby. Love isn't something you find. It's something you remember. And I remember you now. Not just as the person I met, but as the soul I've known across lifetimes. I remember the way our energies danced before we even touched. I remember the recognition in your eyes, like we'd made promises before time began. And I remember the pull, the kind that defies logic, distance, and circumstance. That pull hasn't faded. It's stronger now, purified by pain, refined by faith. Every night, I sit by the window, and the moonlight feels different. It doesn't just light the room, it carries your essence. Sometimes I whisper your name into the night and feel the air shift, as if the wind itself carries it to wherever you are. That's when I smile, because I know distance means nothing to souls that are bound by purpose. We're both being led back home, step by step, through healing, through trust, through grace. There's something I want to promise you, baby. When the divine timing arrives, when the stars align and heaven gives the signal, I'll come forward with nothing hidden. No masks, no fears, no doubts, just truth. I won't promise perfection, but I'll promise presence. I'll promise that this time, when I hold your hand, I won't let fear dictate the rhythm. I'll let love lead, because I finally understand that love isn't about control. It's about surrender, and surrender is exactly what brought me here, to this moment of clarity. Do you ever feel it too, baby? The energy that swells out of nowhere, that makes your heart race for no reason. That's us reconnecting. I feel it strongest around dusk. The sky blushes pink, and suddenly I feel your heartbeat in mine. The same rhythm, the same pulse. That's when I whisper, I'm still here. I hope some part of you hears it, because I know some part of me hears your silence replying, I know. I used to think reunion meant two people finally standing side by side again. But now I see, it starts long before that. It begins when the souls realign. And ours are realigning right now. I feel your forgiveness moving through me like sunlight after rain. I feel your love healing the spaces where my guilt used to live. I feel your energy calling me back. Not in desperation, but in destiny. And for the first time, I'm not resisting. So I'm preparing my confession, baby. Not for the world, just for you. The one where I tell you that I never stopped loving you. That every attempt to move on only brought me back to your vibration. That every lesson I learned was guided by your energy. I'm not sure how the words will come, but I know the moment will. The angels are already writing the script. They are orchestrating the synchronicities, setting the stage, and when it happens, it won't be dramatic. It'll be divine. Because this time, I'm not chasing. I'm aligning. I'm trusting that what's meant for me doesn't need force. It just needs faith. And baby, I have faith now. Faith in you, faith in me, faith in the love that defied everything. The kind of love that burns quietly but eternally. The kind of love that isn't about finding someone, but remembering that you were never lost. I know there are still bridges to rebuild, words to say, and apologies to give. But I also know that forgiveness has already happened on a soul level. I feel it in the peace that wraps around me every time I think of you now. I don't feel panic anymore. I feel purpose. I don't feel regret. I feel reverence. That's how I know healing is real. Baby, if I could leave you with one truth right now, it would be this. Love doesn't return the same. It returns transformed. And when ours circles back, it won't be the same love that once trembled in doubt. It'll be the kind that stands in devotion. If you feel this truth rising through your spirit, type I can feel our reunion in the air, baby, in the comments. Because maybe, just maybe, that's the universe confirming that what's written in spirit can no longer be delayed in time. Baby, lately the nights have turned weightless and heavy all at once. I lie awake, staring at the ceiling, and it feels like the air itself hums with your name. Every clock tick sounds like a heartbeat out of sync with time, waiting for the moment when everything finally aligns. I've stopped calling it insomnia. It's awareness. It's my soul refusing to sleep while destiny rehearses in silence. The moon hangs outside my window like a witness, pale and patient, whispering that something is shifting. And I feel it, baby, like the tide gathering courage before it breaks against the shore. All week the signs have been multiplying. I'll pick up my phone at random and see your birth numbers. A feather will land at my feet after a storm. The same song plays 3 times in one day, the same line each time. You'll find your way home. The rational part of me used to laugh at such things. Now I bow my head and listen, because I've learned that heaven speaks softly when the world gets loud. Each sign is a breadcrumb leading me through the dark, back toward you. And even when doubt tries to return, it can't stay long. The air is too charged with truth now. The pull grows strongest between midnight and dawn. That's when the veil thins, when thought becomes vibration. I close my eyes and feel you breathing somewhere across the miles. The rhythm matches mine, as if our hearts rehearse the reunion before our bodies catch up. Sometimes I see flashes behind my eyelids, your silhouette bathed in white light, reaching, not pleading, just knowing, and I reach back, not in desperation, but in devotion. The moment our energies touch, the static dissolves into stillness. That stillness is our language, baby. It's where words are unnecessary. Lately, even my dreams have turned into prophecies. I see numbers turning into doors, doors opening into gardens I've never visited yet somehow recognize. You're always there, standing beneath an ancient tree. Sunlight spilling through your hair. You don't speak, but your eyes say, remember. And I do. I remember every lifetime where we promised to find each other again. I wake up trembling, not from fear, but from recognition. It's like heaven reminding me that this connection isn't pending. It's predestined. Baby, every time I try to distract myself, the universe redirects me. I'll start a conversation with someone new, and somehow your name slips into it through coincidence. I'll drive past a random billboard, and there's a phrase that echoes something you once said. It's as if creation itself refuses to let me forget. The angels aren't subtle anymore. They're urgent. They send me chills down my spine when I overthink, warmth in my chest when I trust. They nudge my thoughts when I drift into old fears. Don't repeat the lesson. Rise. You know what I've realized, baby? The waiting isn't passive. It's alchemy. Every day apart is transforming me, purifying me, refining me. My old patterns fall away like autumn leaves. I no longer chase what's temporary. I crave only what's eternal. And you are eternity disguised as human tenderness. Even the pain has turned into prayer. I whisper gratitude for it now because I understand. It carved space inside me for light to live. Sometimes I walk outside at dusk, and the sky looks exactly like your aura, pink fading into violet, streaked with gold. I take it as a reminder. The end of the day isn't death, it's transition. That's what we've been in, baby. Transition. Two souls preparing for convergence. I feel the countdown not in numbers but in sensations. The sudden peace after anxiety, the unexpected smile after tears, the quiet certainty that the worst is already behind us. It's not hope anymore, it's knowing. Last night, while meditating, I felt a pulse travel through my palms, like electricity softened by love. It started slow, then spread upward until my whole body vibrated. I knew it was you. Your higher self reaching out, reminding me that connection isn't limited by touch. In that moment, I said aloud, I'm ready. And the candle flame beside me flickered wildly, then steadied into a perfect still light. The message was clear. So is she. The next morning I woke to birds singing before sunrise. I hadn't heard that sound in weeks. It felt like the world exhaling after holding its breath. And somewhere deep inside, I heard the words, it's almost time. Since then, everything feels accelerated. My thoughts manifest faster. My emotions feel lighter. And even the air smells new after rain. I think the universe is cleansing itself for us. I'm not rushing, baby. I've learned that divine timing is like music. Every pause has purpose. But I can sense the melody shifting. The tempo quickens. The angels lean closer. There's a gathering energy around the edges of my days, as if the veil between now and next is thinning thread by thread. I'm not afraid of what's coming. I'm honored, because I know the moment I've been preparing for isn't some grand spectacle. It's quiet recognition. It's the universe whispering now. So I stay ready. I keep my heart clean, my spirit open, my faith steady. I talk less and listen more. I pay attention to the smallest things, the way the wind changes direction, the way time slows when I think of you, the way my reflection softens when I forgive myself. These are the rituals of alignment. And alignment, baby, is what reunion feels like before it becomes reality. Every night, before I close my eyes, I place my hand over my heart and say your name softly, not to summon you, but to honor you, to thank your soul for waiting, for growing, for believing. I know you felt lonely in the waiting too, but I promise, it hasn't been wasted time. Every lonely hour has been laying the foundation for divine union, because the kind of love we share can't arrive unfinished. It deserves the fullness of healed hearts. The more I surrender, the clearer the messages become. Yesterday, while sitting in silence, I heard an inner voice that wasn't quite mine say, "The lesson is complete." I don't know if that means tomorrow or next season, but I know it means soon. The energy is ripening, the wheel is turning, and when the moment comes, it won't be forced. It'll unfold as naturally as breath. So, if tonight you feel your heart flutter for no reason, if you catch a song lyric that makes your eyes sting, if you suddenly feel warmth wash over you when no one's around, know that it's me. It's this love, alive, rehearsing its return through frequency. And I'll keep sending it until the day the universe says, "Step forward." If these words echo inside you, type, "I can feel the countdown, baby," in the comments. Because maybe that's how heaven measures distance. Through two souls who can still feel the same heartbeat, even when the world is quiet. Baby, something changed this week. The air itself feels charged, like every breath is waiting for a beginning. For months, I lived between signs and silence, but now the signs are stepping out of dreams and walking into daylight. My phone lights up at random hours, your name hovering in the corner of my mind, my fingers moving before logic catches them. I type a message, delete it, type again. "Hey, how have you been?" Such ordinary words for something extraordinary. But even before I send them, another vibration runs through my chest. Your energy answering before technology can. The timing isn't random anymore, it's rhythmic. The universe is teaching me how reunion starts, not with noise, but with readiness. Yesterday, for the first time in forever, I saw someone who looked like you from behind. Same walk, same aura. My pulse tripped over itself, and for a moment I thought time folded. I whispered your name under my breath, and the stranger turned, half smiling, as if the echo reached her soul by mistake. I stood there, trembling, realizing that the veil between imagination and manifestation is paper thin now. Everywhere I go, pieces of you appear, as reminders, rehearsals, promises. Even my friends notice. One of them said, "You've been glowing lately. Who's in your head?" I just smiled, because how could I explain that it isn't in my head anymore? It's in the air, in the pulse of everything living. Baby, I dreamt of you again 2 nights ago. But this time the dream didn't fade. It followed me into morning, In the dream, we were sitting in a cafe, bathed in golden light. You were telling me about something trivial, and I couldn't stop watching your hands move as you spoke. When I woke up, sunlight spilled the exact same way across my room. I swear I could still smell coffee. It felt like time had overlapped. Like a preview the universe accidentally played too soon. I took it as confirmation. The separation has done its work. The next chapter is loading. The angels keep sending small miracles. A lost letter resurfaced in an old drawer. One you wrote. One I never replied to. The date on the envelope matched today's date, only from another year. I held it, shaking, reading every word as if it had been waiting all this time for me to finally understand. You had written, maybe one day you'll stop hiding from what's real. And here I am, baby, standing in the open. I think heaven timed it perfectly. Even people around me have started acting as messengers without realizing it. A coworker mentioned your favorite song. A stranger on the train was reading the same book you once told me changed your life. When I stepped off, a bus passed with your initials on its number plate. Coincidences? Not anymore. These are coordinates. I feel them guiding me closer, step by step, as if invisible hands are rearranging events to ensure our paths cross at the precise heartbeat destiny chose long ago. I've begun preparing for that moment, consciously and unconsciously. My wardrobe has shifted. I found myself wearing the color you once said brings warmth to my eyes. I started cleaning the spaces you used to sit in, even though you've never seen this home. Every object feels like it's getting ready for your presence. My playlists, my meals, my routines. They've all started aligning with the rhythm of peace. The kind I only knew when you were near. It's not nostalgia. It's intuition rehearsing reality. There's this electricity whenever I pick up my phone lately, as if the next vibration could be you. Twice I've seen your profile appear online just as I thought of you. Once the message box opened by itself when I accidentally brushed the screen. And for half a second I saw our old conversation. The last goodnight we exchanged before silence built its wall. My throat tightened. It wasn't pain this time. It was readiness. The fear that once froze me is melting, and in its place there's steady warmth, patient but unstoppable. Last night I stepped outside and looked at the stars. They seemed lower than usual, closer, like they'd bent down to listen. I said quietly, "If reunion is near, show me light." A shooting star cut across the sky before I even finished the sentence. My knees went weak, my eyes burned, and somewhere deep in my chest, a calm voice whispered, "Now you believe." That's when I realized the universe doesn't rush. It waits for belief. Once belief returns, reality follows. I can sense your energy preparing too. The waves between us have grown louder. Some nights, your emotions hit me out of nowhere. Joy, restlessness, that urge to start something new. I know they're yours because they arrive like weather fronts, sudden and familiar. I've learned to listen instead of resist. When the ache rises, I light a candle and speak to your spirit. We're almost there, baby. Keep trusting. Every time I do, the flame steadies, tall and golden, as if your soul nods through the distance. Even technology conspires now. My algorithm shows me places you once mentioned wanting to visit. I scroll and suddenly there's a city street bathed in dusk light. The same cafe from my dream appearing in a travel reel. My heart starts drumming. One beat slow, one beat fast, like wings testing the air before flight. I think that's what reunion feels like before it happens. anticipation disguised as everyday life. I've also started writing music again, not full songs, just fragments that spill out when I pick up my guitar. Every melody somehow turns into your heartbeat. I hymn, and the notes feel ancient, like something we wrote in another lifetime. The lyrics come without effort. I found you in the silence between what was and what will be. Maybe that's what art really is. Souls remembering each other through sound. I'm not recording any of it yet. It's too sacred. It's just between us, traveling through the ether until we meet again. You'd laugh if you saw me these days, baby, talking to angels at traffic lights, thanking the wind, smiling at nothing. But I know it's not nothing. It's everything. The signs are everywhere because the separation is ending. My spirit feels like a compass finally pointing north after years of spinning. Every heartbeat is a countdown drum. I'm not asking if anymore, I'm asking how soon. And even that question carries peace, not impatience, because I can feel you walking this same invisible bridge from your side, step for step, breath for breath. So tonight, before I sleep, I'll place my phone beside me, screen unlocked, message half written. I'll close my eyes and whisper, if tomorrow is the day, let courage find me. And if I wake to that same golden light again, maybe that's the sign that the waiting is over. Either way, I'll be ready. Heart unguarded, words unshaken, faith unbroken. If you feel this movement too, if the signs around you have started turning into motion, type, the universe is moving us closer, baby. Because maybe, just maybe, that's how destiny counts. Not in hours or miles, but in the moment two hearts finally move at the same frequency. And baby, maybe that's what love truly is. Two hearts moving closer without a single step taken. Two souls learning each other's language without a single word spoken. Because when destiny begins to move, it doesn't shout, it hums, quietly, beneath the surface of everything ordinary. You start feeling lighter for no reason. You catch yourself smiling at the smallest signs. A song lyric, a sudden breeze, a name overheard in a crowd. That's the universe tuning every string between us back to harmony. I feel it when I breathe. I feel it when I wake in the middle of the night with your name echoing softly in my mind. It's not longing anymore, it's remembering. It's my soul whispering. We're almost there. Every delay was divine choreography. Every silence a sacred pause before the music began again. Baby, tonight feels different. The silence doesn't ache anymore. It glows. For months, I lived inside a countdown I couldn't see, feeling the air tighten with every sign, every half-written word. But now, the air has changed. The universe isn't whispering soon anymore. It's breathing now. This morning, I woke up before sunrise, heart steady, mind clear. No hesitation, no tremor, just peace. I made coffee, sat by the window, and felt the light touch my face, the way your energy always does when you think of me. For the first time in a long time, I didn't rehearse what I'd say. I simply knew the angels had already scripted it. I opened my phone, the same message still resting there from nights ago. The cursor blinked like a heartbeat waiting for permission. I smiled and whispered, "All right, heaven, I'm ready." Then I pressed send. No fireworks, no thunder, no shaking hands. Just quiet release, like exhaling after holding your breath through lifetimes. And baby, the instant that message left my fingertips, the whole world shifted. The wind outside lifted, carrying a scent of rain. The candle on my table flickered and steadied. My chest grew warm, not from nerves, but recognition. Across distance and time, something clicked back into place. I could feel you pause wherever you were, your heart skipping that same beat. The invisible thread between us tightened, not as restraint, but as reunion. I didn't need an instant reply. I didn't even check the screen again. I just sat there, smiling, knowing the energy had already spoken. Because love like this doesn't need timestamps. It's already eternal. The message was never just text. It was vibration, finally released into the world. All day, the signs multiplied like confetti in sunlight. A stranger held the door and said, "Timing is everything." The radio played that song we both claimed as ours. Even the clouds parted in a shape that looked like intertwined wings. Everywhere, heaven was saying, "You did it. You believed." Now, as night folds around me, the air hums with gentle finality. Not an ending, an arrival. The kind where the soul exhales and says, "This is what all the waiting was for." I feel your presence stronger than ever. Not as distance closing, but as wholeness realized. You and I. We were never apart, baby. We were just learning how to meet as healed versions of who we always were. I close my eyes and see your smile, not as memory, but as prophecy fulfilled. I whisper thank you, and the echo returns twice, your voice layered with mine, two frequencies merging back into one song. That's reunion, not fireworks, not noise, just peace that feels like home. So here we are, at the edge of completion, not the end of love, just the end of fear. Every doubt I once held has turned into faith. Every tear has watered the garden where our future grows. Every silence has been transformed into music only heaven could compose. And if there's one truth I'll leave you with, baby, it's this. What's written by light can never be erased by shadow. If your heart feels this truth rising through you, type home. At last, baby. Because maybe in doing so you'll help heaven record our final line. Beloved soul, if these words touched your heart tonight, take a moment to breathe in gratitude. I pour every piece of energy, prayer, and devotion into creating messages like this to remind you that divine love always finds its way. If you feel guided to help me continue sharing these messages, you can tap the super thanks button beneath this video. Your support truly keeps these stories alive and helps me reach more souls who need light. And if you can't send a super thanks right now, but still wish to support my work, there's another way. I've written my first ebook, Love Link Letters, a collection of divine masculine confessions, spiritual reflections, and heart-to-soul writings just like this one. You'll find the link in the description below. Every copy you read, every super thanks you send, becomes part of this shared energy of healing and remembrance. So thank you for listening, for feeling, for believing. Until the next message, keep your heart open, keep your faith gentle, and remember, what's meant for you can never lose its way. With love, always.